what do you know? The Big Daddy G Show. The Big Daddy G Show.
Signal. Wow. Are we on? Hey kids, how you doing? Welcome to the Big Daddy G Show. Today we are going to try to channel an artist by the name of John Lennon. I'm sure a lot of you know who John Lennon is, and those of you that don't know need to find out who John Lennon is. John Lennon spoke about peace and love and living in harmony his whole life. He spoke of that. And I believe it was in 1981 that he was shot dead. And it was a tragic moment. It was some guy from Hawaii, according to our government. If this is true, it was some guy from Hawaii who flew, who was I guess kind of a stalker of John Lennon. And he somehow got the money to fly all the way to New York, even though he was poor. And supposedly he hung out in front of John Lennon's condom. And I'm thinking it was 1980 that he was shot dead. And the guy shows up to the Dakotas, which is where John and Yoko lived. Hi, Yoko. And the guy just shot him dead right there in front of the Dakotas. He, from what I understand, he was hanging out in front of the Dakotas for a while, and he would talk to the doorman and talk to other people that were there. He had actually met him one day before, just very briefly, while John was coming into the Dakotas, and then the second day, if I remember correctly, it was the second or third day that he just kept hanging around, and John had gone to a studio where he was recording some music, and that's when the guy ended up shooting him and killed him. And it was a real big tragedy for the whole U.S., and he's missed greatly. And those of you who know John Lennon know that he was a fantastic artist. He was one of the four Beatles, he's really, really missed by people. And I miss the fact that he had so much material, so many songs that he was working on that he wanted to share with us. His biggest message, which I'll mention again later on in the show, was that his biggest message was peace. The U.S. government wouldn't let him into the U.S. because they were so afraid that he was going to start a revolution against the government. So they forbid him to come to the U.S., and they wouldn't give him a green card to come in because they were so afraid of him. He was being followed by the FBI. He was, he ended up having to go to Canada because the U.S. wouldn't allow him in here. And finally, they did. And what we're going to show you today is from what I believe is supposedly the last interview he did with the Rolling Stones. And so Rolling Stone has graciously allowed us to share this interview with you. We don't own the interview or anything, and we weren't involved in the filming of the interview, but it was so nice of Yoko and the Rolling Stones people to let us share this with you. So please sit back. If you have to run to the bathroom real quick, I'm going to talk for about 30 more seconds, and then we're going to show you the interview. And if try to pay attention really closely to the interview, and you'll see what an awesome person John Lennon was. So, has it been 30 seconds yet, Tyrone? Okay. So, Tyrone, can you run that clip, please?
They pick a president, they put him up there, and then they set fire to him because he couldn't solve their problems. Because they're always looking for somebody else to provide for them, including critics. They're sitting back there waiting for illusions that they've created about artists, whether it be Mick Jagger, Bruce Springsteen, or whoever's favorite at the moment. And the only ones they like, the same as the little kids in Liverpool, only liked us when we were in Liverpool. A lot of them dropped us because we got big in Manchester, right? The local critics thought we'd sold out. And we got big in Liverpool, and then the English got upset because we got big in... I mean, what the hell is it? It's the same with critics. They only like people when they're on the way up. When they're up there, they got nothing else to do but shit at them. They like to imagine they create and break people. They don't. But they only like people on the way up. I cannot be on the way up again, and I cannot be 25 again. I cannot be what I was 10 years ago. I cannot be what I was 5 minutes ago. So I can't waste the time on them. Either considering what they're going to say or what they're going to do. Most of them are now half my age and know shit from Shinola about anything other than, from 1970 on, right? So forget them, you know what I mean? Forget them.
Right.
Get them. We're talking to the public, not to college kids writing essays about saxophone players.
There are three things that I noticed. One, in a lot of your songs, all the way through your, what you've done, there's a tradition you had of an incredible, strong thing about getting people together, inspiring people to just be themselves and, come together and try to change things, like Give Peace a Chance and Power to the People and Free the People and, that side of you.
Yeah, sure.
Then
That's still there. If you look in the inside of the logo, which all the kids have done already, all over the world, from Brazil, Australia, Poland, anywhere that gets the record. I suppose
inside
not
the logo?
Poland yet. Inside is written One World, One People.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and other kids have noticed that. No critic, no media, no anybody said anything about it. But I'm telling you now, because by the time this comes out, people will have noticed.
Yeah.
But the people that buy the record have written back from Australia, saying PS One World, One People. That is written on the actual master of the album.
Yeah, right.
So
you're continuing that.
we continue, give peace a chance, not shoot people for peace. All you need is love. I believe it. It's damn hard, but I absolutely believe it.
I know you've been firm
but
with that.
I'm not claiming divinity. I've never claimed divinity. I've never claimed purity of soul. I've never claimed to have the answer to the life. I have never made any claims. I only put out songs and answer questions as honestly as I can, but only as honestly as I can. No more, no less. I can't do any more, I can't do any less. But I cannot live up to other people's expectations of me because they're illusionary. And the people that are wanting more than I am, or than Bob Dylan is, or that Mick Jagger is, or that the new punks will become, because they have to grow up too. I cannot be a punk in Hamburg and Liverpool because I'm older now. I cannot be 18 and be a punk and pretend to be socially concerned with pimples and the state of the welfare, okay? Which I was at 24. I see the world through different eyes now.
Yeah.
I still believe in love, peace, and understanding, as Elvis Costello said. What's so fucking funny about love, peace, and understanding? Well, in a way, no thing is real if you break the word down. As the Hindus or that group say,
Buddhists, yeah.
It's an illusion. I mean, in that respect, I agree. It is all an illusion, meaning all matter is floating atoms, right? So in that way, we think it's a wall. It ain't. It's a lot of atoms, and with some combination of laser or mind, you can go through it, right? So in one way, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
It's Rashomon. We all see it. But the agreed upon illusion is what we live in.
Well, you seem to be,
But I'm continuing, because the hardest thing is facing yourself. It's easier to shout, revolution and power to the people than it is to look at yourself and try and find out what's real inside you and what isn't. When you pull the wool over your own eyes, your own hypocrisy. That's the hardest one. And that's what I'm involved in. When I was younger, when I could say when one is younger, but maybe they'll think that's too ego. You know, I'm not allowed to speak on that level because that upsets the little turds, right? So let's put it like, when I was younger, I used to think that the world was doing it to me and that the world owed me something, and that either the conservatives or the socialists or the fascists or the communists or the Christians or the Jews or the fascists were doing something to me. And when you're a teeny bopper, that's what you think. I'm 40 now, I don't think that anymore because I found out it doesn't fucking work. The thing goes on anyway, and all you're doing is jacking off, screaming about what your mommy and your daddy or society did. But one has to go through that. For the people who even bother to go through that, most assholes just accept what it is anyway and get on with it. Right? So for the few of us who did question what was going on, I have found out personally, not for the whole world, that I am responsible for it, as well as them. I am part of them. There's no separation. We're all one, right? So in that respect, I think, and I look at it all and think, well, I have to deal with me again in that way. What is real? What am I? What is the illusion I'm living, or am I not living? And deal with it every day. The layers of the onion.
Don't be afraid to be afraid. Yes, I'm often afraid, and I'm not afraid to be afraid, though it's always scary.
I know. I was really glad to see that. It really helped me out hearing that. Boy. Also, when she says hard times are over, you know, she says for a while. She doesn't say they're over forever.
No, no.
You know?
No, well, she knows better. But at least, you know, when it's all right, let's enjoy it.
Well, I have to tell you, I just admire both of you so much right from the beginning. So just your being yourselves is what impresses me, you know, that gets to me. Well, whatever you do.
It's a job, you know.
Well, I don't know about, you know, whatever, but...
I mean, I don't mean a job like a 9 to 5. It's more painful to try and not be yourself. You know, in a way. It's harder to try, you know, people do spend a lot of time trying to be somebody else all the time, you know. And I think it leads to terrible diseases and things like that.
It comes out later on.
Yeah, you know, like a sort of, you know, maybe you get cancer or something. You know. A lot of tough guys die of cancer, have you noticed? Wayne, the last one, the Queen.
Yeah, I know.
Because I think it has something to do, and I don't know, I'm no expert, but I just think it has something to do with constantly living and getting trapped into an image or an illusion of themselves or something, and suppressing some part of themselves, whether it's the feminine side or the fearful side. I'm well aware of that because I come from the macho school of pretense. You know, I was never really a street kid or a tough guy. I used to dress like a teddy boy and identify with Marlon Brown and Elvis Presley, but I never really was in real street fights or real down-home gangs or nothing. I was a suburban kid imitating the rockers. And, but it was a big part of one's life to look tough. You know, I spent the whole of my childhood with my shoulders up around the top of my head and my glasses off because you weren't supposed to, glasses were sissy, and walking in complete fear, but with the toughest looking little face you've ever seen, you know, getting into trouble just because of the way I looked, but thinking that that's what it was, you know, wanting to be this tough James Dean all the time. It took me a lot of wrestling to stop doing that, you know. I still fall into it when I get insecure and nervous. I still drop into that, you know, I'm a street kid, but I have to keep remembering, I never really was, you know. I don't know whether I would have survived on the streets of New York when I was 16. You know, I was a little fruit when I see some of the kids around here. But, you know, we all have to deal with that. Hmm?
Yeah, I was reading this one poet once said that he was quoting some psychologist saying that people are made up of a thinking side, a feeling side, an intuitive side, and a sensual side, sort of sensing. And he said the trouble with most people is that they have a strong side that's developed a lot, and their weaker sides they don't pay any attention to.
Yeah.
And if they develop their weaker sides, they'd be
really integrated.
Well, I think that's
And
what feminism was all about.
Seems that you've done that.
That's what Yoko's taught me. I could not have done it alone. It had to be a female to teach me. I think most of us need a damn good female, you know. For those who relate to females, I don't want to get into all that, you know. But that's it, you know. It was Yoko has been telling me all the time, it's all right, you know, because I look at early pictures of myself and I was always torn between being Marlon Brando and being the sensitive poet, the Oscar Wilde part of me with the velvet and the feminine side, and I was always torn between the two. But mainly opting for the macho side because that's what one dealt with, other males all the time, and if you showed the other side, you were dead. So I bought this beautiful guitar that I'd seen an advert of. It was round about the period, got back with Yoko and had the baby and was thinking about not doing it. And I got the one assistant to get me the guitar, and I played it a little, and I just hung it up behind the bed. And I'd look at it every now and then, because it had never done a professional thing yet, you know, it had never been used. It was used on this album, so that's how I broke it in. He said, I took it down, and I used to look at it now and then and think, because I didn't want to hide it. It wasn't a fact of a problem with the art in that respect, that one would hide the piano, all that level, you know, to hide the guitar too painful. You know, I believe, like Artie Shaw or something went through a big thing, never played again, and a few things like that, you know. So I had it there to sort of face it, you know. Whatever, if there is a problem with the music, problem with that, there it is. I used to look at, will I ever pull it down, you know? I never pulled it down. The day I got it, I played around with it and I hung it up, and I never pulled it down until the sessions. And I finally realized that it was hung there, and on top of it was a number 9 in wood that some kid had sent me. And I had the number 9 there, and a dagger that Yoko gave me, a Civil War dagger.
Wow.
Kind of symbolic, but no real symbolic that I could think of. A dagger made out of a bread knife from the Civil War that Yoko had given me to cut away the bad vibes and to cut away the past symbolically. Was number 9, a black guitar looked like a spaceship, more like a toboggan actually, and a Civil War American knife.
Wow.
And I used to, and of course it's behind the bed, you know, I see it every day, every night. It became part of the wall, you know. And I used to think, well, will I? And then I'd forget about it. It become just like a picture that you never saw, you know, you never noticed it's on the wall. And then I realized, oh, goody, when I decided I can finally find out what this guitar is all about, and I took it down. That was it.
It wasn't gently weeping behind you for 5 years, was it?
Mine never weeps. Mine screams or it's not on at all. You know.
Was this a bass guitar, by the way?
No, a regular
just
guitar.
acoustic?
I don't play bass.
That's right,
no,
Paul
not
plays bass.
acoustic, electric guitar.
It was electric guitar.
Yeah,
was
I
there
don't
special
know the name of it. Yeah.
Was it special about it?
It was special because I sent for it. It was brand new.
Yeah.
But it's the first brand new guitar that's never been used of mine. You know, usually I'd buy it and then recorded it or take it on stage or something. Or if I didn't like it, then I'd put it away in a box.
Yeah, what a story.
But it was a beauty, and I loved the design of it. And I'd like to give the guy credit who made it, but I can't remember what it's called. But it's not like a normal, it doesn't have a body, it's just an arm, and there's two, like a toboggan thing, and you can lengthen the top for the balance of it if you're sitting down and standing up. And it's beautiful tone on it, and it just had a hook on it, so I just hooked it up there, and there it was standing there.
This is in your bedroom, huh?
Yeah, just behind the bed, you know. I don't think I took it down ever. I might have took it down once for Sean to look at it and put it back up. I used to look at it and think that.
It's a really beautiful story, actually. It's like a fairy tale.
And the last album was the rock and roll album with a picture of me in Hamburg in a leather jacket.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of that, I was finishing off a track that Spectre had made me sing called Just Because, which I didn't really know. All the rest I'd done it before as a teenager, so I knew them backwards. I couldn't really get the hang of it. It was the hardest to sing because I hadn't known it.
Which one, Just Because?
Yeah, I never did that at the Cabinet in Hamburg. All the other numbers I'd sung before, live, all my life, since they were out. And at the end of that, I was mixing it here in Record Plant, just down next door in this next studio. And I started spieling at the end of Just Because, and I was saying, and so we say farewell from Record Plant. And a little thing in the back of my mind was saying, are you really saying farewell? And I had not thought of it then. And I was still separated from Yoko, and still hadn't had the baby. But somewhere in the back was a voice saying, are you saying farewell to the whole game? But it would just flash by like a flash like that. And I didn't think any more of it till a few years later when I actually realized I had stopped. And I came across the picture, which is in the office, the original, the office that I met you in today. The original picture by Jürgen is there of me in the leather jacket leaning against the wall in Hamburg in '62.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, wow, is this it? Do I start where I came in with Bebopalula? Because the day I met Paul, I was singing Bebopalula for the first time live on stage. And the picture is in all the famous Beatle books. It's a picture of me with a check shirt on, with a little acoustic guitar, and there's guys playing T-chest basses on it. And Paul was in the audience. That was the day I met him. I'm singing Bebopalula for the first time. And then I'm singing Bebopalula on that album. And there's the picture in Hamburg, and I'm saying goodbye from Record Plant. And I think that was the last album, although it came out after Wars and Bridges. I mix up, it's all fuzzy that period. But it's like this little thing, but I hadn't, there's no consciousness in it. It was only later, much later, when I started thinking about it, thinking, you know, like sometimes you dream, it's like a premonition, but it was a live, an awake premonition.
That's what it sounds like.
That I didn't really, had no plans, no intention, hadn't thought about it. But I thought, what is this? This cover from Hamburg? This Bebopalula?
Wow, what a scene.
This saying goodbye from Record Plant? I was really saying goodbye. It was the last track of the session on the rock and roll album. I was so glad to get it over with, and that's another story I can't even think about. I was so glad to get that thing over with. And I was saying goodbye. Was I saying goodbye because it was the end of the album? But part of me was saying, is this possible?
Wow,
and it did happen like that, but not till much later. It's like a guy in England, an astrologer, that told me I was going to leave England and not live in England. Now, up till I didn't remember that until till I was in the middle of the immigration fight. When I thought, what the hell am I doing here? Because I never left England, didn't plan to live here. It just kind of happened. There was no packing the bags and coming.
Yeah.
We left everything in England in the house, and we were coming for a short visit. We just never went back. Didn't dawn on me into the middle of immigration. I thought, what the hell am I going to this? I was in a court, and people are saying whether I'm good enough or am I communist or whatever the hell it was. I thought, what am I doing this for? And then I remembered this astrologer telling me in London, one day you'll live abroad. And I was one of them, like Paul. Not for tax, and nothing would make me leave. I had no reason to leave England. There was no problem. Never even. I don't need the sun. I'm not an Englishman that looks for the sun. You know, a lot of English like to get away to the south of France and live, or they go to Malta and all these strange English places. You know, that the English like to congregate. Spain, Portugal. Never had that feeling. George was always talking about, let's all go and live in the sun.
Here comes the sun, yeah.
Right. He was always looking for the sun, but because he's living in England still. And then it clicked on me, on Jesus, that guy predicted I was going to leave England. And I was thinking, are you kidding? Because the story was I left for tax. I didn't. I got no benefit, nothing. I screwed up completely. Yeah. But there's a whole school in England saying, oh, he's one of those that left for tax. You know, not a shit. I lost money when I left.
It's like what you said in one of your songs once. You said, 2 minds, 1 destiny.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you wonder. I mean, I really wonder, you know. I know we make our own reality and we always have a choice, but how much is preordained? Is it always a fork in the road, you know, and there's 2 preordained paths that are equally preordained, you know? Let's say 2, there could be hundreds, but at least 2. Whether one could go that way or that way is the choice, but it's very strange sometimes, and that's a good ending.
Hi, kids. Welcome back to the show. As you can see, John Lennon, spoke his mind, and it caused him a lot of problems with the U.S. government because they didn't want him to speak his mind, because a lot of people like me would listen to him, mostly because he made a lot of sense, you know. He spoke about, again, love and peace, and give peace a chance. I was talking to CJ a couple of weeks ago, and I explained to him I told him about how our government doesn't know how to deal with people that want to protest in peace. All they know is how to protest in violent, how to deal with people that are violent. When people protest in peace, they don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to deal with it, and they give up because, there's no fighting back, And that's what John Lennon was always saying, is that, we need to get together, all of us, we need to get together and have our voices heard. Now, this is not a political show or anything like that, but all I'm saying is that, all he was saying is let's give peace a chance. Now, out of the, here's something that is going to be a little scary for you, but out of the 239 years that the United States has been the United States, out of the 236 years, we have been at war for 222 of those years. So let that sink in a little, out of the 239 years that the U.S. has been around, 222 of those years we've been at war. So let that sink in a little. I wanted to read something. This is John Lennon's song Imagine, and I'm going to try to get through this. And it says, imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, and above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Ooh. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed to hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. So just think about it. Peace is possible. So, in the words of John Lennon, give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is Viva Mexico. Viva Mexico.
I hope, what do you know? The Big Daddy G Show. The Big Daddy G Show. Can we all just get up on the Big Daddy G Show? Yeah, man.
Why clean your room when you can do some shrooms? The Big Daddy G Show.
I hope, what do you know? The Big Daddy G Show. The Big Daddy G Show.